Hello there. Happy Saturday night. Hope you are doing well. It is Saturday, February the 18th, and I hope that you all are having hope you had a great week up to this weekend and hope that your weekend is going well and that you've had a great Saturday. And I want to thank you for joining tonight. This is a great time I think, to just sort of pop on here and talk about what I think is one of the best television shows out there that's playing today, and that is The Last of Us on HBO Max. Now, I'm probably not the best authority to rate the best television shows because I don't watch a whole lot of television. I watch mostly movies. So I'm probably not the most authoritative source to state what the best TV shows are because I'm not a huge TV show watcher. But every now and then there is a TV series that captures my attention, that just grabs me and pulls me in. And when I heard about The Last of Us getting a TV series on HBO Max, my first reaction was, I don't know about that. I really don't know about that. Especially being a veteran of the video games, I was like, I just don't know if they're going to do this right. And I'm very happy to report that based on what I've seen so far at this midseason, I was very wrong in that assessment. So I am very, very pleased so far with what I've seen. We've got 5 episodes in at this time, and I believe this first season of The Last of Us is going to be 9 episodes. I thought at first it might be 10. I think it may be 9, but in any event, we've got 5 episodes in the can, Episode 6 is coming out on tomorrow, Sunday night at 9 p.m. And I'm very much looking forward to that episode. But I wanted to come on here tonight and just share some thoughts with you on sort of where I think things landed through the first 5 episodes. And I want to hear from you all what you all think about this season so far. So we've got 5 episodes in, and I love the titles of these episodes, and there's just so many thoughts I want to share with you on just how I'm feeling, so far 5 episodes in. And there's so much to talk about. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that I have missed as I've watched these first 5 episodes. And that's where you come in to sort of help me fill in the blanks of what I've missed, because there's so much detail that's packed into this world that we are seeing. And I'm just trying to absorb all of it. So I'm going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to dive into this season. But before I do, I did want to talk about a couple of other things, or mention a couple of other things real quickly. First being, is anybody seeing Quantum Mania this weekend? Who is seeing Quantum Mania? This is, of course, the first Ant-Man. I pulled this up last night. I was just sort of going through my MCU stack, and this is actually, I didn't realize that I had this on Blu-ray 3D. I had this on a 3D Blu-ray and digital HD pack here. This is the first Ant-Man movie. I don't have Ant-Man 2. I just had the first Ant-Man movie, and it's probably going to stay that way. This is a really fun movie. I really enjoyed this film. Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas. Really fun, silly movie. But let me know, are y'all seeing Ant-Man in the theaters? And then, of course, the Criterion Collection made their announcements for May. I did a live stream on that recently. And of course, Wings of Desire is getting a 4K release. This is the Blu-ray. It really prompted me to say, you know what? I've never seen this Blu-ray. It's been in my backlog. I watched it this morning. This is an amazing film, folks. So for those of you who do not own Wings of Desire already on Blu-ray, there's a nice 4K edition that is coming out in May that you might want to keep an eye out for. And then this week, I'm getting Dazed and Confused in the mail from Amazon. I was in Best Buy the other day. They actually, at the store that I went to, they had the 4K editions of Dazed and Confused on display. They actually had them out on the stands, and I was so excited to see it. So I pulled one and I went to the register, and when because I was excited about, hey, I'm going to get this days early, and I got to the register and they scanned it, and they said, oh, item cannot be sold. So I realized, of course, it's because it was before the due date. So was disappointed, and the guy said that, hey, oh, they shouldn't have put it on the shelf, and of course they shouldn't have. So, but anyway, that's just a couple of quick things on Ant-Man and some stuff coming out in Criterion. But let me know in the comments section if you all are watching Ant-Man this weekend. Let me capture a couple of comments. Let's see who all is out there. We have a few people here in the stream. I know it's rather late on Saturday night, and so I thought it was a good time to pop on. Whoever's on, can be on here with me and share some thoughts, and whoever is not able to make it, catch it on the replay. But hope you all enjoy this tonight. We'll be on here for a short while. Adrian, how are you doing, sir? Good to see you. I am doing well. It's good to see you as always. COD Patrol Les Grossman. Episode 3 was the best episode in my opinion. I probably need to see episode 1 again, though. Yeah, I would not argue with you at all. Episode 3 was, well, it was an extraordinarily executed piece of work. I mean, it was absolutely fantastic from a storytelling perspective. Jordo, evening. How great is this show so far? Double thumbs up. This is my mid-season review. I'm not going to waste any time. Here it is. Boom. There you go. Okay, we good? Good night, everybody. That's my mid-season review. So let's see here. Eminem Man, woo. Yeah. I mean, double thumbs up and woo. That is my review so far for the mid-season of The Last of Us on HBO Max. I mean, so let me just talk a little bit about the first couple of episodes, and then we'll get into episodes 3, 4, and 5. Now, I did a live stream a few weeks ago after episode 2 and talked about the first couple of episodes. And I'll just tell you sort of my background for those of you who missed that first live stream. I am I come to this TV series having played the PlayStation game. So of course I've got both of the games on PlayStation. The original Last of Us game, I actually got this originally for PS3. PS4 came out. Of course, they sold an updated version. I was one of the suckers who who bought the upgraded version, with upgraded visuals and all that on PlayStation 4. And then this masterpiece came out, The Last of Us Part 2. So the original game and The Last of Us Part 2, folks, these two games that I'm holding right here are two of the most incredible pieces of entertainment you will ever indulge in. Okay, in terms of these things take video game entertainment to the next level. They are beyond anything that I've ever played. Naughty Dog Studios, that Neil Druckmann is, I think he's in charge of that studio. He's producing this TV series on HBO Max. And one of the things that makes these games so extraordinary is the narrative and the story and the characters that just sort of take storytelling to the next level in a video game format that is so impressive that, hey, you got studios like HBO that see the work and say, hey, we want to adapt that to television. Or in the case of Uncharted, another game that Naughty Dog Studios produces, they say, hey, we want to take that and we want to take that material and make a feature film out of it. So that's why we have the Uncharted film with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I have not seen that film yet. But yeah, this is the strategy guide for The Last of Us. It's just an incredible game, incredible story. Part 2 was also incredible. So I played both of these games. So I'm coming at this series from the perspective of someone who's played the games, who's played the source material. And that was part of my apprehension about this series at first, because I thought, oh, there's no way they're going to do it justice. And I am here to tell you that they have not only done it justice, but they have done a beautiful job of realizing these characters, realizing the main characters, Joel and Ellie, realizing all the wonderful surrounding, supporting characters that is part of their journey, and just realizing this incredible world and this lore and this story about what happened to the world, this terrible fungal outbreak or pandemic that hit the world at a certain time. And now we're 20 years later, and the world, human population has been decimated. There's just a few human beings left, who are left in the world. And it's literally the last of us, humans trying to fight to survive. And there's this story of these two people, Joel and Ellie, who are making their way from Boston, Massachusetts, out west, on a quest, if you would, to deliver this girl Ellie out west to this group for hopes of potentially, maybe, a cure. So that is really the essence of The Last of Us. And playing this game and playing both of these versions was an amazing experience. And just seeing this TV series on HBO Max is just has been an incredible journey. So let's see what Jordo has to say. I'm really sold on Bella Ramsey as Ellie now after episode 5. I liked her before then, but wasn't in love with her performance yet. Yeah, I mean, I think Bella Ramsey I think she's done great so far. I know when I saw her, I thought she looked really familiar, and I read somewhere that she was in Game of Thrones. I forget what character she was. I'm not sure if she was part of the Walder Frey family or what have you. I get all these characters mixed up, but I thought she was great in Game of Thrones, and I think she is absolutely phenomenal in The Last of Us playing Ellie, as well as Pedro Pascal as Joel. So but yeah, so I did a live stream a few weeks ago after the first couple of episodes and gave, sort of my thoughts on these first 2 episodes. I thought they were phenomenal. Of course, episode 1, is when you're lost in the darkness, and it just sort of kicks the series off um, pretty much the same way the game did, where it takes you in the world right before the fungal outbreak, and it gives you a glimpse of life right before everything went wrong. So this is 2003. You see Joel, you see Tommy, you see Joel living his life, raising his daughter, and going through the normalities of life. But then you get those early signals that things are about to go south, and then of course we have that wonderful, episode showing, how the world just very quickly disintegrated once this fungal outbreak, hit, and just all the aftermath. You then go from 2003 to 20 years later, and we see Joel having, gone through everything he's gone through over 20 years. You see that he's a changed man. He's a different person than he was 20 years ago. A lot has happened. He now is with a woman named Tess, and they are part of a group of survivors trying to survive in this insane world, and and so we see Joel, we see Tess. Joel Miller, of course, has a brother named Tommy. Tommy's gone out west with a group called the Fireflies. And at some point, we get introduced to Ellie, this young girl. And for reasons that I won't get into, because I don't want to spoil this for those who haven't seen the series, they get the assignment to take Ellie out west. And so that begins the quest to take Ellie out west. And that's basically where episode two leaves off. And then we get into episodes three, four, and five. And folks, I've got to tell you, some of the best TV that you will see starts off with episode three. And I just simply just am blown away by how incredible the writing was, in particular in that episode three. I think someone had mentioned that episode three was the best episode so far of the season. And to be honest, I really have to agree with that. I think that the story and the narrative and the way that that episode was presented, I think it's the longest episode of the season so far. It clocks in at around an hour and 20 minutes. It feels almost like a feature film, and it just is phenomenal. And they took the time to let the story breathe, to introduce you to the characters. And I just think it was absolutely amazing. So I will talk about that in just a second, but let's talk for a second about the ratings for The Last of Us. I mean, it's debuted at like number six on the Nielsen streaming charts, outpacing House of the Dragon viewership, according to this Deadline article. So it has done really well from a rating standpoint. And, when you consider that it's outpacing House of the Dragon, which is another series on HBO Max recently that I fell in love with. I mean, I love that series. That series got me right back all the way into the world of Game of Thrones. And I cannot wait to see what they do with season two of House of the Dragon. But the Last of Us is outpacing that. And I think for good reason. The Last of Us is an incredible, incredible series. Now, if I, let's see here, of course, we've got these two characters here. When we talk about episode three, episode three really features and really centers in on these two incredible characters that were fleshed out in this episode. You had Nick Offerman, who played Bill. Bill is a survivalist who basically has a compound. He has his own like little neighborhood that's walled off that he's been in since the beginning of the pandemic. And he is basically a survivalist who has staked his territory. And God help anybody that crosses, or trespasses into his territory. Well, one day someone does trespass into his territory, named Frank, played by Murray Bartlett. And the two of these gentlemen, form a sort of friendship. And it is the basis of one of the most incredible episodes that I've seen shot for a television series in a long time. Uh, they did a really good job. This is episode three, and it's called Long, Long Time. And it is based upon the song from, or it is inspired from a song from Linda Ronstadt from 1970. And it's a great example of the use of music to help to tell a story. And I love the way that they did that, really interlacing this musical song and the lyrics and the beats of this song from a lyrical standpoint into what this episode is about in terms of these two men forming a bond in this lost and broken world. So Nick Offerman as Bill, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal, phenomenal, and he is an actual character in this in the game, and that's one of the things I love about that I absolutely love. If I can pull up, that's one of the things I love. Yeah, Bill. You say Bill right here, in the game, in the strategy guide of the game. He's an actual character in the original video game. And what I like is that they took some narrative license to write the story a little bit differently for purposes of this TV series. So they don't stick to, beat by beat the way that the game played out, but they do have this story of this man named Bill, the survivalist. So you have Bill here, you have Frank, who is also, I believe in the game, Frank might be, and it's been a long time since I played a game. I played a game back in 2013, so it's been almost 10 years. But I think Frank might have been a mention in the game. In this TV series, he's given this episode where you see him fleshed out as a character, and I think that's one of the great things about the TV series is how they have really fleshed out things that you don't get to see in the video game. So I thought they both did a phenomenal job in this particular episode. So I loved it. And we'll get to Mr. Lamar Johnson here in a second. But let me grab a couple more comments. Let's see. We got Kenny Levels out here. What's up, James? Really enjoying the show so far? Yes. I tell you what, I am loving it so far. I mean, and I love you and Michelle's breakdowns of each episode. And I'm just loving hearing the conversation around this TV series. I mean, as someone who has played these games, I'm really happy with the way that they've realized this world in this TV series. I mean, I feel like it, I feel like they couldn't have done it better. And I just could not be happier with the way that they've realized it. Mama Blu-ray's in the house. How are you doing, Mama Blu-ray? Hi to you. Hope you are doing well and hope that Miss Sue is doing well as well. But yeah, I mean, this TV show is just amazing so far, and I am really, really enjoying it. So yeah, episode 3 does a really nice job of introducing at the very beginning. You have Joel and Ellie going through their journey. So you see them at the very beginning, and then the narrative shifts, and we see Bill. And we see his life as a loner. We see him right before the pandemic hits, and then we see, him after things all go south and how he's surviving alone until the day that Frank arrives. And we then see the story develop from there. And it's really centering around those two characters in episode 3. And we don't see Joel and Ellie again until near the end of the episode. You do get to see a little bit of how Joel and Tess interact with Bill and Frank during this time, but it really does a nice job of the whole time jump thing and taking us from 2003 when the outbreak happened, and you see it from the perspective of Bill, the survivalist, and then taking you all the way to present day at the end where we see Joel and Ellie once again. And through it all, you see this beautiful through line of this amazing song from Linda Ronstadt incorporated in the story. And all I can say is episode 3 is one of the best written pieces of TV drama and story that I've seen in a long time. And I was just blown away by that episode. So I really, really enjoyed it. Ken is saying, took me a couple episodes to get Michelle on board, but now she's into it. Oh, well, good. Yeah. Yeah. I tell you what, episode 3, I think, is the episode that's probably going to pull a lot of people in. I mean, different people are going to come at this TV series differently depending on did you play the games or not? And I'm always interested to hear from people. I'm someone who's played these games, so I have a certain perspective, but I want to hear from people who have never played the games, that have never heard the games. What do they think about this TV series? Because I think there's a lot to enjoy whether you played the games or not. I just love the writing and just the overall creative direction that has gone into the series. I mean, when I think about things like about the world building, I think they've done such a great job of putting you into this post-apocalyptic world where you see it's 20 years after the outbreak. There's only a few human beings left. There's quarantine zones where people are clustered. You see infected popping up here and there, and you see what the world would look like after 20 years of human civilization breaking down, with the moss and foliage taking over the buildings, and some buildings crumbling down, and you see the decay of the roads, and automobiles stranded, and you just see that, hey, society's broken down, and you see the remnants of that all around. And I think they do a really nice job of, and I guess it's good CGI that makes you feel like, wow, I'm seeing Joel and Ellie walking along the road, and the highway is half torn up, and you see skyscrapers in the distance that are in disarray, and you just feel like you're right there in that world. So I'm enjoying a nice spot of Earl Grey here while I'm talking about the end of the world. But yeah, so that's episode 3, some of the best TV that you'll ever see. That then sets up episodes 4 and 5 as Joel and Ellie continue their journey out west. You have Joel and Ellie who are making their way out west. Joel has the task of delivering Ellie out there, because Ellie might be uh, the key to a cure to this whole thing. Maybe, we shall see. But in episode 4, we get introduced to some more characters. Of course, they make their way out west and they get to, I believe, Kansas City. And that's where home of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs in our world. In this world, there is no Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, because in 2023, in this world, it's 20 years after the pandemic. But in our world, the Chiefs have won the Super Bowl. But in Kansas City, they run into these characters. Lamar Johnson is Henry, and this young boy here, Kayvon Woodard, is Sam. So they run into some like rebel groups who are after these two young men, these two brothers, for some reason, and they're trying to track them down. And they run into Joel and Ellie, and they sort of help each other as they try to escape Kansas City. And it tells a really nice story as you get to know Henry and Sam a little bit more. This is Melanie Linsky. She plays Kathleen. She is one of the leaders of this militant group. As you can imagine, after the world has sort of gone to pot, most of the population's gone. You have some groups that have risen up. You have a totalitarian group called Fedra that is trying to sort of institute martial law and try to maintain some level of control of the civilization that remains. And then you have certain other rebel groups like the Fireflies and other factions that are at play. This Melanie Linsky is one of those rebel group leaders, and she plays Kathleen, and she is trying to hunt down Henry and Sam, along with her partner here, Jeffrey Pierce. He plays Perry. So, they're all trying to make it in this world. Of course, this is Bill and this is Frank. And I just really love the way that this series has fleshed out these characters so beautifully. We have Adrian saying hello to Mama Blu-ray and to Ken. But yeah, I mean, so far, I think if I were to sum up, what do I love about this series so far? I would say a couple things. One is I love the care that they have put into, investing in these characters and making you care about these characters. And I think they did a really nice job casting Joel and Ellie, because when I think about, if you're going to adapt this video game to a TV series, what made this video game work so well is, in playing this game, you care. You care about Joel and Ellie. You care about what happens to them. You care about so much. I mean, you care about everything that they're doing because you are invested in them as characters. And so, if they're going to make this TV series, they need to do a good job of casting these characters, and these characters doing a good job of emoting, who they are, and helping us to care about these characters. Because if that doesn't work, if I don't care about Joel and Ellie, this series falls apart. The good news is I do care about Joel and Ellie, and I think that Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey do a great job as Joel and Ellie in really presenting, characters that we care about, and really bringing to life these characters in the way that they should be brought forth. In Joel's case, in the case of Pedro Pascal, you care about him because you know what happens to him at the beginning of this series. And you care about him because of that. You begin to understand who he is as a person. But the beautiful thing about it is that gap between when the pandemic first hit and then now 20 years later, you know that a lot has happened to this man over that 20-year period. The good thing is you don't know everything that happened to him. And so, one of the beautiful parts about this TV show and the way they're realizing it, similar to the video game, is there's that mystery of what has happened to Joel over this 20-year period. Okay, I think that's Cortana talking to me. I'm gonna try to click her off. Sorry. Anyway, like that's like Google Assistant or Siri or something that popped up. But yeah, so you get to really understand Joel as a character throughout the course of this TV series, similar to the video game. There's a lot of mystery to what has happened to him over 20 years. Of course, what has happened has changed him as a person, and you get to learn more about him and dig into deeper layers of him as a character. And I love that aspect of him. And then Ellie, you get to learn about this young lady who is in this hellish world with all this stuff going on around her, and you get to understand the layers underneath her character. And I think that Bella Ramsey does a beautiful job as Ellie. And so I think her work and Pedro Pascal's work really gets you invested in this series. And that's part of what makes this work. In addition to the great writing, I love the humor that they, present in this series, the relationship that's developing, between Joel and Ellie over time, and how they're in this serious situation, but there's a lot of great humor that's injected in here that is a great part of the narrative. So I love that. Ken, I'm hoping to play the first game after the show goes off. Yes, Ken, definitely play this. It's such a great game, such a great game. And this game here, The Last of Us Part 2, is pretty controversial because a lot of people, well, some people found this game to be objectionable because of the way the direction that the story went, but I thought it was brilliant. It is a brilliant piece of work. And I like the fact that it didn't go in the direction that people expected. It went into a completely different, it subverted people's expectations. And I think I thought it was done really, really well. Everyone doesn't feel that way. We got Ken saying hello to Adrian. Jordo saying, Ken, the games are so worth it. Part 2 is on a whole other level. I agree. Part 2, like I said, Naughty Dog games, that the PlayStation Studio, they do a great job of making. The best way I can describe this is not just a video game. It is an interactive movie, is what this is, and it is so good. That's why we have this TV series, The Last of Us, because the source material from a narrative standpoint is that strong. The acting is incredible. The story is incredible. The narrative, and it is so good that they have a TV series about it. And the TV series, because of the source material being so good and the acting being so good, is coming across well in how well it's being received. So I'm really, really enjoying it. Oh, I've been spoiled in the second game. Hopefully not by me, Ken. I hope I didn't spoil it for you. I didn't. I might have given away any details in the second game, um, but yeah, it's still fun to play though. Still fun to play. But yeah, so the characters are a big part of why I love this TV series. They did a nice job of casting Joel and Ellie to begin with. That was critical, and they nailed it. The other thing that they've done is not only did they cast those parts well, but characters like Bill and Frank, fleshing them out, those actors who played those characters, fantastic and phenomenal. And they did a really nice job in episode 3 of giving us something that the video game never gave us, which is fleshing out that story of Bill and Frank in a way that they didn't do in the video game. In the video game, it was kind of alluded to or just sort of hinted at, whereas in episode 3, you got to see it, and I thought it was amazing. And then, of course, the other characters, Henry and Sam, we see them in the video game as well. I mean, they are in here, and I'll try to find them in here. You see, where are y'all? Where are you, Henry and Sam? You're somewhere in here. Let me flip here real quickly and show you where my friends Henry and Sam are. They are in here. If I don't find it real quickly, I'll just move on, but they are in here. Hold on. Okay, well, I won't waste any time on that. They're in here, but you see them in the game, but as they're fleshed out in episodes 4 and 5, you really get to know them in this TV series. And I thought the actors that played those characters did a really nice job. And you really got to see the interaction between Ellie and Sam in these episodes that are, it's just absolutely beautiful. So I really enjoyed that. Oh, that's a shame, Ken. Yeah, let's see here. I played the original 3 Uncharted. Love those. Naughty Dog is next level. Yeah, I agree, Ken. And Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, more than worth it. That is probably the most cinematic of all the Uncharted games. It is so, so good. There are certain parts where you'll see Uncharted 4 and you'll think, wow, the way they cut that, the way they did that scene, they there are movies that don't do it as good as what I just saw there in terms of how they cut from one scene to the next. That is so, so cinematic. All of us a shame. Ken, no, not you. Just a big plot point in the beginning that fired everyone up. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I understand. I know which one you're talking about. Pedro has done a great job embodying Joel. He may not always look exactly like him, but he just has done so well. Yeah, I agree. Pedro Pascal, he's a great actor. I mean, he is showing me his acting chops in this series, and he is just doing a great job playing Joel. You should play Uncharted 4. It's as good as the rest, maybe the best outright. Yeah, I agree. Uncharted 4 is Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, as Ken said, are like next level. Uncharted 4 takes those up here. It's like it is unbelievable. In fact, I feel like I want to play it again, and then I want to go back and play The Last of Us Part 2 again, but then I wouldn't be able to do a YouTube channel. I wouldn't have any time to do that. So, ever since I started this channel, I've not really been playing games anymore because there's just not enough time. But I really enjoyed those games. But yeah, so episodes 4 and 5, where we see Henry and Sam beautifully fleshed out as characters, and I just absolutely, absolutely love it. So there are a couple of things I do want to talk about though, real quickly here, in the sense that I think they do a really nice job with the characters, as I said, Joel and Ellie and all the supporting characters cast perfectly. You care about them. I think the narrative is excellent in terms of the way they're telling the story and progressing the story. I like the way they are developing the relationship between Joel and Ellie. Absolutely brilliant. It is right there on pace with the way the game made you feel if you played the game. And I just love the world building. I think they do a really nice job from an art direction and a set design or whatever you call it, making you feel like you're in that world and really putting you in that time and a place. The other thing I like about this TV series, I really love that really adds extra flavor that you didn't get in the game is I think they do a really nice job of with the flashbacks, sort of taking you back in time at certain points and giving you a little bit more of the backstory of what in the world happened. What potentially caused this fungal outbreak? What was going on in the world in the days and the weeks leading up to the initial outbreak in 2003, and what were people doing, and what was the conversation at that time? So I think they do a really nice job of giving you some of the backstory throughout this series, and that's something I really do appreciate, including in episode 2, the doctor. I think the doctor in Indonesia. So there's an Indonesian scientist. She discovers this fungus and realizes back then in early 2003, before the outbreak happened, she knew that, wow, if this ever like begins to spread, there's no cure for this. I mean, it would be the end of the world as we know it. And as it turned out, she was absolutely right. So they do a really nice job of giving us that backstory. So there are a couple of things that I think is interesting, though. I think they do a great job laying everything out, but there's a couple of areas where you do have to sort of suspend disbelief just a little bit. So one key area is you see Joel and Ellie. They're making their way across country, and they're not walking to do it. Of course, of course, you can't walk across the country at any time. They're actually driving in a truck, which is great, right? The only problem is that trucks run on gasoline. Okay, and that's one of the key like areas you have to sort of suspend disbelief in the sense that it's 20 years after this outbreak, 2023. The gasoline would not work at that point. The gasoline would have broken down like 18 years ago because gasoline does not last more. It wouldn't last even the first year after the world ended. So gasoline that's 20 years old would be basically water by then. So it wouldn't be able to run a truck or any kind of vehicle. So you have to sort of let that plot hole, go. And then the other thing is the canned food. Now, I thought that canned food that was 20 years old might be inedible, but I read earlier today that actually canned food technically can last indefinitely as long as it's sealed and there's no damage to the can. It's not a matter of it being inedible, it's a matter of the quality of it over time. The quality wouldn't be as good after the first year after expiration, or 2 years, or 5 years. But technically, 20-year-old canned food, if it was sealed, could still be edible. So you do see some of that. So I could buy that. So you see little things like that that make you go, as Arsenio Hall would say, that make you go, would that work in this world? So I thought that was kind of interesting. Uh, let's see, any more comments? Okay, so yeah, so I thought that was interesting, but yeah, I love the personality of these characters, and I just love the world that we are in, and it makes you wonder, who is Joel? Who is he as a character? What did he do in the past? At some point, Ellie asks him, "Did you kill innocent people?" And you don't get an answer to that question. And it kind of makes you wonder, did Joel kill innocent people? What happened to Joel, from 2003 to 2023? And it's those unanswered questions that really lend to that really feed into the mystery of who is Joel as a character. So as you learn more about Joel, you also discover that there are still a lot of unanswered questions about this man that is the protagonist of this story that kind of make you wonder, this is the protagonist, but given the world that we're living in and given some of the things that he's had to do over the last 20 years, he's the protagonist of this story, but I don't know if I would call him a good person, so to speak. I think in this world, you just have people trying to survive. I don't know if good really applies. I think it's just people trying to survive. So, but yeah, what do y'all think? What do y'all think about these first 5 episodes so far? I mean, we've got Episode one, which really opened things up, I thought, in a brilliant way. When you're lost in the darkness, showed us the world before the pandemic, showed Joel and his daughter, which I thought was so beautiful, and his brother Tommy. And you see their interactions in the days right before this broke out. And then episode two takes you in, and then episode two takes you to, it's called Infected. And that's where we see the Indonesian scientist and her discovery. Then episode three, Long Time, which is based off of this pretty amazing song from Linda Ronstadt, Long Time, which I will not play. I might play just a little bit of it. Let's see if this will work. Yeah, I don't want to get copyright. So it is so beautiful. And the way that they executed this song in the beginning of the episode, the way that they introduced the lyrics, um, and how the characters sing a little bit of the lyrics. Love will abide, take things in stride. Sounds like good advice, but there's no one at my side, and it's just beautifully done. And then all the way to at the very end, how it is employed. It's just a beautiful example of taking a song like this and lacing it through the entirety of an episode in a really meaningful and powerful way. So that is Long Time, the 1970 song from Linda Ronstadt. And it is right smack dab in the middle of this first half of the season. And it is very impactful in this story. And I thought it was very, very well done. So let me see here. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you all think of this season so far. I think this season so far is very promising. I'm very much looking forward to episode six tomorrow. I believe there's four more episodes left: six, seven, eight, and nine. I'm looking forward to seeing them and seeing how this season wraps up. And I'm really looking forward to seeing, what different directions they may go into, because I know how this first game ended. I have a feeling they're going to take some narrative liberties and take us in a slightly different direction. And then it'll be interesting to see season two. Will it play out similarly to what we saw here in this game, or will they take some liberties there as well? So that remains to be seen. But so far, I am super happy with this series so far. I give it double thumbs up. That's my mid-season review. I think they're doing an amazing job with the source material and bringing it to life with characters that we care about in a believable world and story. And they're doing a great job of laying this story out in a way that is believable, characters that you care about, and really getting you invested in this world and invested in, you know, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, what's going to happen with these characters, and where is the story going to go. So I am super, super excited. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back on here probably at the end. So after episode nine, I'm going to give my sort of my season wrap up review and just share my thoughts after these next four episodes. But very much looking forward to seeing what they show and where things go. But so far, I'm very happy with this season so far. So I don't think we have any more comments. I just wanted to pop on here. I really do appreciate those of you who were able to join tonight. I know it is late, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. But definitely, if you're catching this on a replay, drop a comment and let me know what you think about this season so far. Let me know what you think about these characters. What do you think about Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie? Do you think that they nailed it? Do you think they're doing a great job as these characters? What do you think about the other characters that are part of this world? Let me know that in the comment section, and how they're handling the story altogether. If and that's coming from the perspective of, if you whether you played the game or not, or if you are coming to it having never heard of the game. Let me know what you're thinking of this series in the comment section below. I want to thank you all for joining tonight, and we'll look to see you next time in the movies. Have a great one and enjoy episode 6 tomorrow night. Peace.